something?
Something.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Perfect. You can put that on your pants. I don't know.
I'll put it on my pants.
Yeah.
That means something completely different. I'll put it on my trousers.
Whatever you like. Do you want me to tell you 5 minutes before you're done? To raise my hand. I'm gonna be organizing some stuff outside, but then I'll come in and knock and say, you've got 5 minutes left.
If I'm too busy talking, then come and shout at me.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. So my wife worries when I go off to these things that I'm going to run away with a pretty lady. So now that she's gone, I'm just going to show her that there are no pretty ladies. Ooh. Let's go. We'll start here. Some of you heard this bit. This is my Twitter handle. Feel free, get in touch anytime you like. I used to be called Fade to Black because I'm a Metallica fan, and I decided to change it to match my domain name where my website is, which is SQL DBA with a beard. Don't know. However, Twitter's got a maximum character limit, so when I typed it in, pressed enter, I didn't read it properly, and what I ended up being called was SQL DBA with a bear. It's true, shouldn't have done that. So there's no A there. There's no click on the clicky. Good morning, come in.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. You just don't know who I am now. Look, quick. It's gone. So what problem are we trying to solve? Do you guys have Movember? Yeah? So in October, everybody says to me, what are you going to do for Movember? Not really anything. But that's not the problem we're trying to solve. This is the problem we're trying to solve. What I find as a SQL DBA looking after hundreds of servers is that I get asked questions all of the time. I get asked questions from change managers, I get asked questions from project managers, compliance, auditors, other DBAs, developers, what's this, where's that, how many of those? And they all expect you just to know straight away. And the reason that this, let's go back there. The way this started was after I started a new job. I was looking after a team of 5 DBAs, and we had a few hundred servers, and that's how they described it to me, a few hundred. Come in. And a few thousand databases. And I sat down with them, I said, you need to understand about me, I need things very precise. I don't want to know if there's a few hundred servers, I want to know there's 273. And about a week and a half later, I was sat dealing with not a quite major P1 incident, but a P2 incident, quite important. And a security auditor guy came over to me and he said, Rob, we've got to do this report back to group up in the States in 2 weeks' time. And what I need to know is how many servers have you got in Bolton?
Hang on, I'll have a look. It took me a couple of minutes. That's 73.
Ah, excellent. Thank you very much. Carry on with what you're doing. Away you went. I sat down, working in code. 20 minutes later, he comes back and says, oh yeah, he says, sorry to disturb you. Hey, how many of those servers in Bolton have got XP Command Shell enabled?
Alright, hang on. Let me just stop what I'm doing. I'll take a couple of minutes. It's 35 of them.
Right, thank you. Sorry. And away he went. And I dived back in, and I've got client account managers shouting at me, and I've got IT directors shouting at me, and oh, fix this, okay. Back he comes. Says, you know those servers in Bolton, how many of those have got XP Command Shell enabled?
Could you ask me that just now? Anyway,
I did. So,
stop what I'm doing.
so I'll remember that I should have said, how many of those servers in Bolton with XP Command Shell enabled are version 2005?
Yeah, I'll stop what I'm doing again. So it's 15.
15. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Right. Is it going to be fixed? Yeah, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. It'll be 10 minutes. I'll give you an update. Sure enough, back he came. Hello! Sorry to disturb you. You know those servers in Bolton with XP Command Shell enabled? I need to know all of them by version, please.
All right, what I'm doing is not important. Let me just check that for you. And I actually don't know.
Oh, thank you very much. So, out of my 5 hours that I was working on that day, dealing with a major incident with directors shouting at me and client account managers shouting at me, security guy felt his question was really important, and he just kept interrupting me. And as you know, with context switching, what happens if you're concentrating on something and somebody interrupts you? It can take as much as 20 to 30 minutes to get back into the zone of what you are doing. Okay? So, how many DBAs in here? Oh, a few. Cool. So, everybody else, look after your DBAs. Okay? Think just that one question. Shut up. Just one question is actually 30 minutes of your DBA's time, which is important. Okay? Also, look after your DBAs. If you would like them to do something, bring them sugary goodness. Donuts, sweets, chocolates. They'll be much more appreciative. But the important thing here is that a question quite often leads to another question. So I decided to do something about it. This is my favorite early PowerShell script that I wrote. And what it does is goes through and checks the agent jobs, spits them out into an Excel file. Green is good, red is bad, brown is normally disabled, we don't care. And it enables me to give a junior DBA an email that says, go and check this, scroll through, deal with the reds. Nice and simple. But hang on a minute, we're now 2016. Why are we still using these old ways of doing stuff? Why are we putting files on disks and shares and email them around? We must be able to do things in a better way than that. So this is what I wanted to end up with. So imagine at the back of the room, there's the big screens with SCOM or SolarWinds or whatever monitoring tool you've got. And I put this one up. And blue is the number of agent jobs. Red is the average over 7 days. Red is the number of failed jobs. So, the SAN failed. Okay. SAN failed, almost all the jobs failed. We can quickly see it. We can see what our average is. We see how well we're doing. I can say to my manager, hey, look, we're doing really well. We're getting much better at what we're doing. And here, we've got the list of jobs that have failed in production, ordered. So now my junior DBAs, when I walked in, they kind of went, yeah, got a few alerts from some stuff. Some stuff's failed. Some stuff we don't know about. Now, the scary one says, deal with those first, or else. And it's straight there, right in front of them. But it also means that the managers and the project managers and team managers and other teams can see on the wall what is going on. How well are we doing? How poorly are we doing? It's far better to end up with a buffet solution for these questions, because as we've just seen, question leads to another question, leads to another question, leads to another question. If we can let people just walk up, pick and choose what it is that they want to have, and then walk away without disturbing the DBA, he can carry on looking at DBA reactions, reading Brent Cesar's blog, doing the really important work, tuning your queries to make sure everything works properly. I can't lose my voice this early. So what do we need to do it? It's really simple. I'm a SQL DBA. I'm going to use Microsoft SQL Server. because it works, does the job. I love PowerShell. I'm going to use PowerShell. It's the best automation tool out there, in my opinion. So we're going to use that. I'm going to use PowerBi. Why are you using PowerBi, Rob? It's free. And my best friend, who's a BI guy, did a presentation about using open data with PowerBi, and he said, it's so easy, even he could do it. So I thought, right, I'll show him. And he's right. It's so easy, even I can do it. And you. It really is simples. But the important bit that you need to know is this one. Your data, local knowledge. I literally had to take the DBA that had been there for 30 years, who was a grumpy old bugger. I had to take him out to the pub with a piece of paper, and we had to sit down and write what was going on. Where is this stuff? Who's that? Because he knew, because it was all up here. So we had 15 data centers, but he knew that the application for Metallica was in Exeter, or the application for the Eagles was in Leeds. It wasn't written down everywhere other than in his head. That will be your toughest challenge. Your second toughest challenge will be all the SQL servers that you don't know you look after until they go wrong. Yeah, the smiles say, we all know that one, yeah. Got this SQL server, it's really important, it's for our P1 client. I've never seen this before in my life. Why is it not working? I have no idea, hang on. Yeah? But with this system, what we can do, when those turn up, we put one row in a table, and the rest is history. Here's the manual bit. We've got a table. We put in a server name, an instance name, put in a port number. If you do not have dynamic ports, or if you don't have fixed ports, then put in 1433. If you don't have multiple instances, put in MS SQL Server. We then have an AG bit flag, which is in the wrong place. It should be in another table. But when I first started doing this, I wasn't thinking of the big solution. I was just thinking of getting some information down. An inactive flag. Why do you have an inactive flag? I need to tell my boss, yeah, we had 45 SQL 2005 servers. Now we've only got 15. We're working our way forward. It's looking good. I can show him which of those 30 have been removed and what they're now gone to, because we've got an inactive flag. Environment. Environment's very simple. It's whatever you call it. Production, live, P1, QA, dev, UAT, DQC, DAT. I have heard thousands of TLAs. TLA, 3-letter acronym. The location is important when you have your stuff stored in different places. So, when Bristol data center needed to be shut down because we were doing UPS work, they came to us and they said, oh, could you tell us how many servers and which clients and what time we can turn them off? And I went, yeah, sure. Here's a link, go and ask yourself. Literally 5 seconds of my time. Probably another 5 minutes to say, yes, this is how you type in the query, this is what it's going to show you. But 5 minutes, did it. The sysadmins had to sit down and go, oh, crikey, hang on a minute. We know about this new stuff, but we've got these 2,000 boxes that are sat, the Windows 2,000 boxes that are sat there. We're not really sure what happens if you turn that off. And, actually, there's this Unix box here. What's it do? What happens if we turn it off? Don't know. They had to go through all of that. And they were in meetings for months. And the DBA team were like, yay. It was awesome. And not contactable. So when you work with health data or legal data or PCI, or if you work in defense of different classifications of data, you're going to have systems that you cannot get to from your normal box. Yeah, you know the ones. You've got to jump onto this machine via IP address using this account, and then you've got to tunnel through to the other machine and put in that special password and put your smart card in, and then you've got to go to that one, you've got to sing Merry Christmas backwards. All those tricks that you've got to do to get there. But we can still use that information. as long as you can get it out. That's your issue. If you're allowed to take that data and put it somewhere else, great. But you need to check that. But now we can say, we run the same PowerShell scripts, we grab the data, we put it in the database, and now I can say to my boss, yeah, all of that legal data is sat on these servers. Because those servers are the ones that you normally get the auditors coming in about. Ta-da! Auditors want to know all of this stuff. Here it is. Click the link. Go help yourself. I did not have any beer at all last night. My voice is going. Here's the process. The wonderful DBA team add the instances into that instance list table. Got PowerShell scripts running via an agent job every night, every week, every whatever. All of this will be available. It's on my blog. It'll be wherever Tobias wants it, so you don't have to take photos, but if you want to, cool. And we have these tables: server OS info, Windows level information, what operating system version, how much RAM, what IP address, etc. Got SQL info, so you're looking at the instance level information about your SQL server. What version you've got, what collation you've got. We've got the databases. How many databases, what name, what collation, what index space usage, all the stuff that you'd get in general, right-clicking on the databases node in Management Studio and clicking properties. And I've got 2 agent jobs because that's how I populated that Excel file. So we have a roll-up per server, and we have the detail of what's happened to every job. That spins around. We then use PowerBi desktop, we populate it. Now, we can query the data with this. Anybody who can write T-SQL can query it with Management Studio. Anybody that wants to use PowerShell can use PowerShell. There's more to this than just querying this information. Now you have a reference point for your servers that enables you to pick them by SQL version, by Windows version, by client, by location, by environment. Manager comes to me and says, you must turn XP command shell enabled off on all 2005 boxes tomorrow in live. You say, hang on, mate, we need to make sure we test this so we don't break anything, obviously. But if you say I've got to do it and you're prepared to sign off on that risk, absolutely. I can do that for you. I can do that for you in 10 minutes. DBA is looking after more than 100 servers. How long would it take you to turn off XP command shell? No. Are we talking 2 minutes, 2 hours, 3 days? Yeah, it's going to take you some time. And now, the DBA team are sorted. But more importantly, these guys, the ones that come and ask the question, and another question, and another question, they now have got somewhere to go, politely. And they can stop bothering you and the rest of your team. That's it for the slides. Actually, I lied. That's not it for the slides. I generally forget to put this up, and it just makes me laugh. If you have questions, just shout. Has anybody got the time? Where are we at? 17 is cool. Off ski. Yeah, I should have. Well, he ended up using this machine. Will, the second guy, because I felt sorry for him. That good enough? We see that? Oh, I've got to zoom it. Are you starting? You can go away. Okay, Zoom it appears not to be working. Here is our DBA database. Here are the tables. This script list and the script install are what my second session will be mainly about, installing scripts using this automatically with PowerShell. It's not particularly exciting because it's a list of servers, instance names, ports, availability groups. You can see the sort of thing that you get. If we look at the server information, a date checked and a date created. Okay, only a date checked in this one. Server name, host name, domain name, operating system, so you can filter all of your information. SQL info. You can see we gather as much as we can. Now here's the thing. We gather as much as I needed for that environment. You might find that your guys ask you questions about different stuff, in which case, add a column in the table with the right data type, go and find the information in PowerShell, which we'll look at in a minute, and it'll be there, ready and waiting for you. And info.databases. A lot of foreign keys because we like to try and make sure we keep our data levels down. What do you need? Creation date, collation, compatibility level, data space usage, all of that information. So if you actually want to just go and query it with T-SQL to answer a question when you're sat at your desk and somebody comes up and asks you, you can just go straight in and type there and get it. But how do we gather the information? It's not very difficult. You're not going to see anything amazingly complex. What we do is we define where our database server is. We define what the database is, DBA database is called. I call it DBA database because it makes sense. And we create a log file. I use this guy's write log function. It's called JSON Wasser. I use it because it works really well. It does exactly what it says on the tin. I don't have to think about it. I've then got a catch block function so that we don't have to keep typing the same thing. And what we do here is have an additional message, and we write it to the log file, but I also write it into the event log. So if you have a system, a snort, or some of the other names, forget me, that go and scrape your environment's event logs and put them all into one place, then you can use that. But if you do that, you need to create an event log source first. And you could do it in one line, but there's 3 lines of code that will do it. Run it as admin, and away you go. Load SQL PS module, oh my god. Yeah, I know, it's getting fixed, it's much better. In 2016, it loads really quickly. It doesn't change the directory. It doesn't give you all the warnings. But we are running this automatically, so we never see it. Create a log file. Very simple. Now this looks a bit complicated because we've got all the try-catches in there. But basically what we're doing is we're going to the SQL server, and grabbing a query with invoked SQL command. We go across. Select distinct server name from DBA database, instance list, where inactive equals 0. It should have and non-contactable equals 0. Now, I don't know if you know, there are issues with the invoke SQL command. Yep. In general, advice is do not use it. Use invoke SQL command 2, the number 2. Okay. I have issues with the way it uses the input file, so I stick with this. If your queries are going to take a long time, do not use this one. Because if you set the timeout to infinity, it will time out after 30 seconds. If you set the timeout to 45 seconds, it will time out after 30 seconds. If you set the timeout to 5 seconds, it'll time out after 30 seconds. Thanks, Microsoft. For each loop, define some variables so that if we don't pick anything up, we're good. Use some really old, nasty code that I wrote a long time ago to use WMI to grab RAM, to grab the operating system, to grab the IP address, and then check if the server, you already have that information. If you already have the information, update it with this update statement. And if you don't, where have we gone? If we don't, insert it. That's it. It's as simple as that. So you can pick up this code, the database code, PowerShell code, create yourself 4 agent jobs, and if you did that on Monday, by Tuesday you'd have all of this information, and it will just keep picking it up, keep updating, keep repeating it. You need to be a little clever. All the other scripts work in pretty much exactly the same way. However, when you're using your SMO object to traverse through for the properties that you want, you can find it quite difficult to find out where you've got to go. So you've got to get all the way down. Configuration, common criteria, compliance enabled, config value. Note, deliberately, in this script, I have config value, config value, config value, config value, because the requirement was for what the servers were configured, not what was currently running. Okay? So this will not tell you if your max memory is set to 64 gig. It will tell you that your max memory is configured for 64 gig, not necessarily the same thing. Just a warning, just because this started off as my data and I knew that and my team knew that, but when you guys go and start using it, you might think, oh, hang on a minute, bloody bearded bloke, it didn't work. It's not telling me what I wanted to say. How do we find this information? Very simple. Get to wherever you are up there, pipe it to GM. Bing. Have a look through, find the one you want. Have a look at that. Oh, that's not bringing back the values I want. Right. Pipe that to GM. Pipe that to GM until you find it. Or go to Google. Bing's useless. Sorry, Microsoft, Bing's useless. Go to Google, type in MSDN, SMO, server, database, table, wherever you're looking. Click on the link and then click your way through. It's much simpler to be able to find out that particular value that you need. Then, as you can see, you put it in here, you put it in your insert and your update script, and you create a column in the table. Bob's your uncle. Beware. If you look after a mixed estate, you'll find that SQL 2000 boxes don't know what availability groups are. Surprise. So you can use your logic to work that out. You can choose to query whether it's a SQL 2000 box and only do this, or you can choose to check whether that property exists and then go through. But be aware, especially if you're going to start using the 2016 stuff, to make sure that you check what happens with your old boxes. Because I bet there are people out there with SQL 7, SQL 2000, SQL 2005 boxes that you're looking after. They won't have all of the SMO properties that you require. If you want to change the way that data is displayed, format it, then you can do that. Make it more humanly readable. Once you have that, here's Power BI. Power BI desktop. Go to powerbi.com, download the client, comes up like that. What you would do is get data. I'm going to show you how cool PowerBi is as well, because you can get data from all of these different places. But we're going to get the data from that SQL server, write a query. When I started this, I just grabbed the whole lot. It works really well at home with 3 rows. When you've got 4,500 databases, it begins to take a little bit of time. Oh yeah, come on, you've got to be a DBA as well as a PowerShell guy. So what we have over here, no, we didn't do it, did we? Let's edit the queries. Please connect to this SQL server and this database and run this query. And this query will bring back all of this information. You can then go in here and do all the things that your BI type guys say about filtering and sorting and measures and renaming stuff. That becomes important when you start using the natural language query. You need to understand what things your guys are going to be asking and think about how you name your columns, because they won't search for XP command shell enabled. They'll search for XP command shell enabled. So you need to make sure that you label your columns in that way so that the system will understand. And then it is as simple as point and click. So if we pick up instances, immediately we've got a thing. And you can just change whatever it is. Well, that didn't work. Yeah, it really is that simple. And you can go in and change the colors and change the formatting and all that. And hopefully once you've done, you'll end up with something that looks a little bit better than this. And at that point you can stop. Literally, stop. I put this on the wall, the SQL information, the agent jobs, the number of databases, a couple other custom reports, created a PowerShell script just to loop through them on the display. There they are on the back, and people go, oh, well, that's cool. Yeah, click it, because it's all interactive. There's SQL 2005 boxes. Oh, hang on, we're only looking at prod. There's SQL 2005 boxes. There's the production. Everything filters and moves as you go through. And management love it, in my experience. Give them something cool, they can click on it. If I had connection to the web, I'd show you on this that there is a desktop app which you can put on an iPhone, you can put on a Windows phone, you can put on Android. 1 second, my friend. And then these things, they're touch and squirrely, and management really love that. Yes, sir? Oh. Unfortunately, it's set up and stuff, but thank you. Here's the other thing you can do. You can add your clients in. It's another manual step, but there's a clients table. So now I can match this data, servers, databases, locations, whatever it is, up to particular clients. So when my boss comes and says, Metallica on the phone, they want to know where their data is, they're worried about getting hacked, you can go, okay, cool, we can match that up. It means that somebody has to go through and match the database up to the client. Yeah. So I wrote some T-SQL to do that, but of course the best person that I had to do that was my guy that had been there for 30 years. And as I've said before, he was a grumpy old so-and-so. And we had 1,000 databases, and he didn't want to do it. And I wanted him to do it, and I was new boss, and I didn't want to go in too hard. So I'm cunning. What I did on my front board was I added a graph here. And what the graph did was it went and checked the table that was the lookup between the client and the database to see how many said not entered every night. And it displayed that on this graph. So when he said, Junior DBA, how many clients have you entered today? Oh, I've entered 25. No, you haven't. So we could play that game, which was fun for a while. But then I thought of an even better way of doing it. I put it on the screen on the back wall. And management would come up and go, what's that? And I was, oh, that's the number of clients that are still left to be entered. Oh, who's doing that? Oh, Bill is. Oh, right. Bill, how many of those have you done today? Oh, 25. No, you haven't. Took the pressure completely off me. So be creative. You can make these things work really well. But the advantage is that you can ask those sort of things. Right. We'll have one go. Do we have any interwebs? I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Thank you, my friend. Look at that. Great. So, in the Power BI desktop, once you've created your report to look how it is that you want it to do, you click a Publish button. The Publish button sends it up to PowerBi.com. And you will see your data sets and the reports that you have given. And what you do is you click through on those reports. They'll look identical to how they are on desktop. And you click a pin. And the pin will say, would you like to add this to an existing dashboard? So yes, please. And it will create you a dashboard that you can then share with people. And then you can query, which is what we'll show in a minute. This is where we need to make sure that we have the right columns names. You can edit it in PowerBi.com. I prefer using the client. Your results may vary. Here's the next most important thing. This data is in the cloud. This is data about your environment. If your security guys and your ITSOs or auditors or something say that you're not allowed to put it there and you do this because I said so, it's your fault. Okay? Not my fault, it's your fault. In the same way, my PowerShell scripts work on my environments that I've installed them on without breaking anything. If you go and put them straight onto your live environment and it breaks something, that's your fault. Okay? Never, ever, no matter how good looking the bloke is, put anything on your live environment without testing it first. Okay? But the ITSO thing is the best one. The security auditors are the best one. The way I got around it, I didn't get around it, the way I got it approved was it was there, they were the ones that needed to use it. They were the ones that wanted to see how it worked. Okay? Now you're going to have to pay for it. Uh-oh. $8 a month per person. It might even be less than that. It might be down to $6 a month per person. If you've got an enterprise agreement or an SA of some sort, it might even be less than that. Right now, at the moment, you can share your dashboard with other people in the same domain. So it's only if they're using a Power BI account from your with your domain name can they see this data. Otherwise, you can't share it. I understand that is going to change. It hasn't changed yet. I'm a DBA. I am very worried about people sharing my data. By default, Microsoft allow anybody that you share the dashboard with to share it on with other people. I like to click that off. I would like it that they didn't even have it ticked by default. But they're thinking about sharing data and providing information and enabling people to see what's going on. I'm thinking, that's my data, I don't want it moved. You know, we've got a bit of this. If you go for it.
I just want to say that I think in SQL Server 2016, this stuff is going to be publishable to an internal on-premises reporting services server.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, so that's something to bear in mind. I'm really into PowerBi.
But you don't get the natural language query.
No, that's true. That's quite strict. My understanding is quite strict.
Okay.
What we can let out. I just wanted to make a point that if you hold on for a few months, maybe where you might be able to release on premise as well.
SQL Server 2016 will be released next month.
Yeah, but I don't think it includes that feature. I think it's coming at some point.
Reporting services will be improved throughout the next however long. Yeah. SQL Server 2016 will now run on Linux at some point in the future when we get it there. But absolutely, and you could use pyramid analytics, I can't remember what it's called, report server thing, and that will allow you to publish them internally as well. But you don't get the cool bit. And here's the cool bit. If you remember, this story started with 6 hours of questions, spread over time, but 6 hours of questions. Interruptions to fixing stuff. Have a look at this. How many servers? I've paused it, and it's come up. It says count of server name. So that's what your guys will see. You can alter that measure to call it something else so that people will see what's going on. So how many servers in Bolton? 55, like that. Numbers have changed since I printed that out. With XP command shell enabled, it's already got it before I finished typing. Oh, true. Okay.
I think the most amazing thing is it's got it even though you've got a typo in the word server. Yeah.
Have you been looking at my notes? By version. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what was happening there. My wife, I live in the middle of the country. I live in a hamlet of 10 houses. So we're at the end of the pipe. We get about 6 meg on a good day. In the evening, when the kids are around, it will drop some. When I was doing this recording, I said to my wife, you must not use the internet. I need to have all of the bandwidth so I can do this. Her friend sent her a video on Facebook. Oh, is that using the internet? Yes. But even on really slow connection, it still works really quite well. By version. No, I don't want it as a bar chart. I'd like it as a table, please. Bang. So, type in your query, get it how you want it, get the results as you want, and then try as a something, as a table, as a column, as an area chart, as a bar chart, as a matrix, as a card, and your data will start doing this. Right? As the man said, even though there are typos in there, it works out what's going on. It gets better than that. Power BI, Microsoft Azure, whatever, machine learning and all that stuff going on in the background, it learns what your people ask. It learns the sort of things that they want. It starts filtering the queries to enable them to choose things properly. It starts giving them suggestions as they're typing, as you could see, but also when they're just looking at the dashboard. I have yet to show this to somebody who has not gone, wow, so cool. So, a can't remember what order these are in because my notes are gone because he stole them. Show me the server name, the collation. And is full text enabled? And you can see, as we go, everything starts filtering. Let's have a look at the ones that are in Exeter. Didn't pick up that spelling mistake. And I thought I'd put the location in just to prove that we really are looking at the ones that are in Exeter. Mr. Security Guy, how much better is that than having to come and ask me over the course of 6 hours? Yeah. All the sort of questions that people are going to ask. How many servers have we got by version? Actually, I'd like a bar chart. Now I can right-click and put it into a PowerPoint and show it to the board because that's what they want to know. Well, I don't have to do it. The manager now can do it. As I said, SQL servers, DBAs, feed us sugary goodness, like donuts. Oh, it didn't come up. Tree map. It's as simple as typing stuff in. Anybody can do it. Now your DBA is released from that problem. And as my friends have said, it doesn't just have to be SQL servers. Yeah? Just because I'm picking up that information about SQL servers doesn't mean that you can't go and use that information to pick up something else. Yeah, sure, you might have SCOM. Yeah? You might have other tools that you want to do that. You might only want to put it in for your team. Your organization might not be able to afford SCOM, or they might be looking at upgrading and thinking, actually, could we do this better? This is a really easy way of doing it. And this is by far a better way of displaying the information than SCOM. Faster, easier to set up, so simple even a stupid DBA can do it. There just are so many benefits to this. So I've gone past the amount of time when I should have stopped and I should be asking you for questions, but I'll let this play because you can see the sort of things that people ask and how they go through. When's the last backup? Where is Metallica's data? All that sort of stuff. Does anybody have any questions?
You mentioned in the beginning that PowerBi is free.
Power BI Desktop is free.
Yeah.
Putting things into PowerBi.com is free.
Yeah.
Being able to share reports and schedule a refresh costs money.
There's no SQL Server part in this?
Okay. When you have created your report, the data is embedded in that report because you only got that amount of data. So when you publish it up to the cloud, that's there, but it's static. So you can install, as long as your IT security guys say it's okay, etc., a Power BI gateway, which you can then get a scheduled refresh from your SQL Server every day, every hour, every 5 minutes, whatever you takes. If you take this on further and you're using sources that are in OneDrive for Business, like an Excel file, it can just automatically refresh as you come up. It's very, very, very powerful and very, very, very simple. And maybe not completely PowerShell, but without PowerShell, we wouldn't get this data so easily. We wouldn't automatically have it refreshed. We've got a create date and a check date, so the security guys can say, how old is that data? Yeah, it's from last week, or it's from last night.
Do I understand correctly that you cannot run PowerBi on a local SQL Server instance? You need to...
PowerBi.com with natural language query is only available online.
Yeah.
You can display the reports using SQL Server 2016 reporting services when that bit comes out of just an idea. You can use pyramid analytics product to display the reports on a report server type thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any more for any more? Yes, sir.
This is not so much a question, but I'd just like to say that, like, I think when you make the step of building an inventory, like you've done, with installing in SQL and building PowerShell scripts that are driven by that, it's actually something you can take a really long way. And it isn't necessarily just about reporting. You can also start to drive automation around your databases.
So.
Start to use it to drive backups. You can index maintenance over the weekend. It doesn't. You're only limited by your creativity. I think it's really hugely empowering as a DBA to sort of start on that journey of automation.
So not only have you stolen my notes for this session, you've stolen my notes for the next one.
I'd just like to say, I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's really liberating. You can really do whatever you want.
Yeah. I've not had another product where I've been able to target my machines so precisely if I need to, so granularly.
But also, it's your requirements, your reporting requirements, every environment is slightly different. The questions you're interested in aren't necessarily the ones that are easily served up by a product. And even if that product is extensively made to display it the way that you want it, you just have to control it as a DBA.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Be in charge of your data. Be in charge of your systems. And you can pick it up and just drop it anywhere. If you go somewhere else, you just pick this stuff up, install it, go. Within an hour, you can have all of that information. Yes, sir?
So how fast can you go from having the data in your database to showing it in Power BI? What's like the lead time?
If you download my Power BI desktop PBIX files, you could, within an hour, depending how long it takes the PowerShell scripts to go and get all the data. Yeah. So if you've got all the data, you've got it. You've then got you've created the Power BI report in Power BI desktop. You click publish. Minute, 2 minutes.
Yeah, but if I have a dashboard published and I feed my local database with new data.
Yeah. So you open up your
And let's say I update my local data with performance data every 2 minutes. How long until it updates on the internet?
Okay. There's two questions there. Sorry, there's two answers there. If you have got the Pro and you've installed Power BI Gateway and you have it connected through and you're going to drag that refresh, you can define it. I think the minimum is 5 minutes, but don't quote me on that, because one bit I never said is Power BI is brilliant because it's always evolving. However, Power BI is a pain in the neck because it's always evolving. Last time I did this session, I checked all of those queries when I was running the queries live. I checked them the night before. The session was at 3 p.m. They changed something in that time, and 2 of them didn't work how I expected. They didn't fail how I expected. They'd actually mended it. I think it's 5 minutes. It might change. If you don't have that, and you have the free version and it's just for yourself, whatever, then it's whenever you do this. I've not got it open on this machine. When you've got the client open, you hit refresh data, it'll go to SQL, grab the data, bring it back, you click publish. Goes up on there, then it's ready. But it's manual then. Does that help? Yes, sir.
Have you used it cross domain?
This is live. No, that is not live data.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is live data across 7 domains.
SQL dashboards in Scrum really drives me nuts because it's too slow.
So, if you're in a forest where you have permissions across all of those domains, you have an account.
They're all customer domains.
Okay, so if you have that, then yes, obviously you can do it. If you don't have that, then you would need to probably set up the agent jobs to run in each domain. Would you be able to feed them back into one SQL server?
Probably would be able to manage that.
Yeah. And then you've got a domain column in your instance list. In your server OS info. and you filter it by domain. Anything that you can't get to, run the SQL script, where you have the invoke SQL why am I saying this? I'll just show you, because I haven't got it open on this machine. Where you have the invoke SQL command to load the data, the insert or the update, on there is a commented out query. So comment out the invoke SQL command, uncomment the query, run the PowerShell script, and it will just generate you the T-SQL. Copy, paste, put it on a notepad, whatever. Move it across to the domain where your DBA database is, press go, and it all comes through. It's a bit manual, but when you're in those situations where you have those systems which you can't get to, it's going to be a bit manual. Yeah, oh, itchy eye, not a question. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Sorry.
A few years ago, I started with the same idea and we set up with this called an SQL inventory. And what I'm missing is your table creation with a timestamp when it is updated or inserted.
So you're slightly seeing the next session, so look away. But so a date added and a date checked.
Every time when the record is changed, put it into a history table. You can figure out the database column.
Another question I quite often get is exactly along those lines. Can you record when the data has changed? Yeah, absolutely, you can do that. I haven't done that. But depending on how you want to manipulate it, you could put the old value in. But when some of these tables end up being this wide already, I don't want to, 2 or 3 more of those. Or you could put it into a history table. There are, whichever way it is, it's going to serve your needs best. Absolutely, you can do it. You could use change data capture to do that. I wouldn't want to. I personally have had much pain and frustration with change data capture.
Yeah, but this is a simple table.
Yeah, it is. But because I've had all that pain, I never think of it as a solution. I like to erase it from my mind. Oh, man.
So for that scenario, CDC will just footnote in history, I think, after.
Okay. Have you not seen temporal tables?
I heard of it.
Yeah, I'll show you one there. It's awesome. Right. It is 2 minutes to. If we've got no more questions, feel free to go and grab a drink and stuff. We've got more questions.
I would expect that once you've shown this to your bosses or they maybe walk you around, that other persons approached you asking you to add other information like this server guys. Did this happen, or is it an isolated environment?
The first place I put this in, the server guys were jealous of the fact that we didn't have to go to all these meetings for this UPS shutdown. And they wanted, can you do that for us? And I went, sure, give me a list of servers and I'll create it. And they went, yeah, can you just go and find out? I'm like, no. Yeah. The other place I've been, I've created something similar for the server admin guys, particularly around where their Active Directory domain controllers were. That's particularly what they wanted to know, and some more information about that. So yes, I haven't shown any of that because I wasn't allowed to bring any of the code out. And at home, I've only got one domain controller, so I tried it and it just didn't work, so I stopped it. There is no reason why you can't, as the man said, let your imagination run wild and drive it through to do whatever it is that you want and become a really useful guy in your organization. We done? So we've got 15 minutes. Go and get some more coffee and we'll... thank you. and we'll be talking about, as the man so rightly said, how you can install and upgrade your scripts that the DBA wants to have. Do you want to come and do it? No.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say